You are the master of your fate. Let's begin. Every man who has ever achieved anything of great worth knows a secret that cannot be taught in a classroom. It is a simple, fundamental truth. The single most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. It is a quiet dialogue that unfolds in the silent chambers of your mind. It is a constant stream of thought, a relentless inner voice that either builds you up or tears you down. I have watched countless men and women with all the necessary talent and ambition fall short of their potential. They were not defeated by circumstance or by competition. They were defeated by the silent, relentless war they waged with themselves. I've seen this countless times. A person with an incredible idea, a fire in their belly, begins to speak of their plan. But before the words can fully form, a voice inside whispers, "What if it doesn't work? What will they think of you? You don't have what it takes." And so, the words lose their conviction. The idea shrinks. The fire flickers and dies. They never even took the first step because they were already defeated by an enemy that lived inside their own head. This constant inner chatter is not just background noise. It is a living force. It's a powerful shaping mechanism that molds your reality more than any external factor ever could. This is the truth that separates the dreamer from the doer. The mind is not a passive receiver of ideas. It is an active partner in your destiny. And it is a partnership that you must consciously manage. You cannot simply hope for the best. You must direct it. You must mold it. You must make it your ally. Think of it this way. Your internal dialogue is the blueprint of your future. Every thought, every quiet doubt, every bold declaration you make to yourself is an instruction given to the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind, in turn, takes these instructions, these mental blueprints, and begins to work tirelessly to make them a reality. It does not judge. It does not question. It simply acts. This is a law as immutable as gravity. The thought, backed by emotion, becomes the seed of action. The harvest is not based on what you want, but on what you habitually think about. The question then is not what you want in life. The real question is the silent partner of yours a builder or a breaker? We all have these mental scripts running in the background. They are not random. They were written line by line by every event you've lived through. They were scribbled into your subconscious by the casual, often careless, words of teachers, parents, and friends. The memory of a single moment of humiliation, the echo of a relative telling you, "That's not for people like us," can become a permanent line of code in your mental operating system. This code then runs every single time you encounter a challenge or an opportunity. You see, these scripts are powerful because they operate invisibly. You are not aware of them. You don't question their authority. The man who is afraid to ask for a raise is not simply lacking confidence. His mind is running a script that says, "Your work is not valuable enough to be rewarded." The woman who constantly procrastinates is not lazy. Her mind is running a script that says, "If you don't start, you can't fail." And the person who over-prepares and never launches their idea isn't a perfectionist. They are running a script that says, "Your idea isn't good enough yet, and it never will be." I once knew a man who wanted to build a business. He talked about it constantly, in great detail. He had notebooks filled with plans, and he knew every single step he needed to take. But he never took the first one. Why? Because every time he would get close to acting, a voice inside him would whisper, "You don't have enough money. You don't have the right connections. You're not as smart as the others who have succeeded." He didn't hear this voice as an internal enemy. He heard it as a simple fact. His mind, running on this invisible script, was designed to protect him from the imagined pain of failure. So, it simply kept him from ever entering the arena. It was a well-intentioned, but ultimately destructive form of self-sabotage. His invisible blueprint, written by past fears, ensured his future was a mirror of his past, full of brilliant ideas and zero action. You must understand this. Until you can see and unmask these scripts for what they are, you will forever be controlled by them. They will be the glass ceiling over your potential. I have seen it levy its toll on every man who ever stood on the brink of greatness. This is a tax that is paid not in dollars, but in opportunities lost and energy wasted. The greatest thieves of human potential are not external forces. They are the whispers of indecision. They are the voices that say, "Wait, think about it just a little longer. What if you're wrong? What if there's a better way you haven't seen? You must understand this. Indecision is not a lack of knowledge. It is a symptom of a mind at war with itself. It is a conversation of fear and doubt that paralyzes action. It hides behind good intentions, masquerading as prudence and careful consideration. But it is a lie. The man who tells himself he is just waiting for the perfect moment is simply a man who has lost control of his internal dialogue. He is listening to the voice that is protecting him not from failure, but from the fear of failure. I spent a great deal of time with Andrew Carnegie, and one of the most powerful things I observed about him was his absolute decisiveness. He didn't waste time on debates with himself. He sought information, yes, but once a plan was formed, he acted with a swift and unwavering purpose. I once asked him about the secret to his great wealth and influence, and he didn't speak of steel or business strategy. He spoke of the trained mind. He said, "Napoleon, a mind that doubts its own power is a mind that will never command a fortune." He saw a problem not as a wall, but as a temporary question he knew he could answer. His mind was an instrument of action, not an echo chamber of doubt. Your mind is a tool, and a tool left idle will only rust. The voice of indecision is the rust on the gears of your ambition. It locks your potential in place. And every single time you listen to it, you pay the tax, a part of your life you can never get back. The mind is not a wilderness you are lost in. It is a garden you must tend. The first step to reclaiming your voice is not to fight the negative chatter, but simply to observe it without judgment. Most men, when a thought of doubt arises, immediately begin to argue with it, to get angry at it. This only gives it more power, more energy. The better approach is to simply notice the thought as if it were a cloud passing through the sky. You see it, you acknowledge its presence, but you do not attach to it. You do not get on the cloud and ride it into the storm of self-doubt. I'll give you a simple, powerful mental exercise I have taught to many successful people. When the negative chatter begins, that voice telling you that you are not enough, not ready, or that you'll fail, I want you to mentally place a pause button in your mind. Just say to yourself, "Stop." It is not an order to the voice to disappear. It is an order to yourself to create a momentary space between the thought and your reaction. That small space, that single breath of a moment, is where your freedom lives. In that space, you take back your power to choose how you will respond. This is the beginning of conscious communication with your mind. It is the practice of mindful listening. You are no longer the victim of your own thoughts. You are the observer. You begin to see the patterns. You begin to recognize the invisible scripts we spoke of earlier. You see that they are not truths, but old habits of thinking. This is how you build a new mental muscle. It is not about winning an argument with your inner critic. It is about understanding that you are not your inner critic. You are the master, and it is a servant that has simply grown unruly. By creating that pause, you remind it of its place. This is the first, most crucial step in training your mind to be your greatest ally, not your greatest foe. To truly command your mind, you cannot simply silence the negative. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you leave a void, the old weeds of doubt and fear will simply grow back. You must give your mind a new, powerful, and definite command to follow. This is where my principle of definiteness of purpose becomes the master tool for the mind. A definite purpose is not a vague wish or a hazy dream. It is a clear, precise, and emotionally charged objective. It is the single most important command you can give your mind. When you have a definite purpose, your internal dialogue doesn't have to wander aimlessly. It has a job. It has a direction. It has a North Star. It begins to look for solutions and opportunities that align with that single purpose, naturally drowning out the static and noise of indecision and self-doubt. Here is a practical assignment for you. I want you to take out a piece of paper, not a screen. The act of pen on paper is a powerful connection between your conscious mind and your subconscious. And I want you to write down in a single clear sentence your most important purpose. What is the one thing, above all else, that you must achieve? Do not make it a list. Make it a declaration. For example, my definite purpose is to build a business that provides sustainable housing for my community and generates a passive income of $50,000 a month. It must be specific. It must be a command. Then I want you to read that statement aloud every single morning when you wake up and every single night before you go to sleep. Do not simply mumble the words. Speak them with conviction. Feel the truth of them. This is not some magical incantation. This is a deliberate act of programming your subconscious mind. You are forcing the internal voice to align with your ambition. You are giving your mind an ultimate task, and in doing so, you are freeing it from the endless loop of doubt. It is the first step toward building a new, powerful self, a self that is a master architect, not a wandering spectator. Giving your mind a definite purpose is the ultimate direction, but there will still be moments when the old, negative patterns resurface. The voice of doubt doesn't just disappear. It's like a weed. You must pull it up by the root, and then you must replace it with something new and strong. The strategy for this is not denial. It is deliberate substitution. I'll give you a powerful mental exercise. When a negative thought appears, that old familiar line from the invisible script, do not argue with it. Instead, reframe it. For example, the thought, "I can't do this," should be immediately followed by the declaration, "How can I learn to do this?" The thought, "This is too difficult," is immediately replaced with, "This challenge will make me stronger." You are not lying to yourself. You are simply asking your mind a different question. You are redirecting its energy from building a prison to building a pathway. I've instructed many a person to create their own inner script, their own mental reframe phrase, and I will give you one now. When you feel the urge to retreat or make an excuse, tell yourself this: every obstacle is a puzzle, and I am the solver. Repeat it. Internalize it. This isn't just words. This is a mental command that forces your mind to stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on the solution. This is how you change your mind's nature from a fortress of fear to a workshop of creation. You must become a master of this practice. It is a daily, conscious act. You do not simply remove the negative. You fill the void with a powerful, productive truth. Every single time you make this substitution, you are reinforcing a new neural pathway. You are teaching your mind to work for you, not against you. And with each successful reframing, you are proving to yourself, with evidence, that you are the master of your own thoughts. To truly grasp the power of this mental reframing, you must look at a man who mastered it perhaps more than any other, Thomas Edison. I had the privilege of knowing him well, and I can tell you that his great success was not due to luck or genius alone. It was due to his absolute refusal to accept the definition of failure that society imposes. Edison was relentless in his pursuit of the electric light bulb. He failed thousands of times, but to call them failures is a mistake. To Edison, each unsuccessful attempt was not a defeat. It was a step forward. He did not say, "I have failed." His internal dialogue was a forge, not a prison. He would say, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Think about the difference between those two statements. One is a final verdict. The other is a progress report. The man who says, "I have failed," tells his mind that the effort is over, that his character is flawed, and that he should quit. The man who says, "I've found 10,000 ways that won't work," tells his mind that he is a scientist, a problem solver, and that he is one step closer to the solution. He is commanding his mind to remain active, to keep searching, to be resilient. This is the power of a trained mind. It doesn't see setbacks as proof of inadequacy, but as data points. It doesn't see closed doors as the end, but as a reason to look for another one. Your mind can be just like Edison's. You simply need to stop calling your setbacks what the world calls them and start calling them what they truly are: lessons. This is how you forge a mind that cannot be defeated. Now that you have the knowledge and the tools, you must put them into daily practice. A mind left to its own devices will return to its old comfortable habits of doubt and indecision. You must assert your will over it. This is not a passive process. This is the practice of command. At the beginning of each day, I want you to sit quietly for just 1 minute. Find a chair in a quiet room, close your eyes, and command your mind. Do not ask it. Do not request. Command it. You will give it a single, definite mission for the day. For example, today my mind will be focused and will not be distracted by minor details. It will find the solution to the primary challenge of your challenge here. Speak this command to yourself in the same tone you would use to give an order to a trusted soldier. This isn't about controlling every single thought. That is impossible. This is about directing the energy of your mental factory. Think of it as pointing your ship in the direction you want it to go, regardless of the waves. The waves of doubt and distraction will still come, but your compass, your definite purpose, will keep you on course. This is the act of consciously and deliberately taking charge of your own mental climate. When you begin your day with a command, you are telling your subconscious mind what it must work on. You are programming it for success before the world has a chance to program it for distraction. This is a practice of power, not of hope. You are not waiting for inspiration. You are commanding it to appear. Mastering your internal dialogue is not a one-time project. It is a lifetime of tending to the garden of your thoughts. You must constantly pull the weeds of doubt and cultivate the flowers of purpose and confidence. This is the long-term work of building the fortress of your mind. The first step is to be ruthless about the company you keep. And I am not just speaking of the people around you. I am speaking of the thoughts you permit to stay in your head. Every person you associate with, every book you read, every podcast you listen to, all of it is either a builder or a breaker of your mental fortress. If you spend your time with people who constantly complain and see problems everywhere, their voices will become a part of your own internal dialogue. If you permit negative stories and discouraging news to fill your mind, you are inviting enemies inside your walls. You must become a guardian of your own mind. Protect it fiercely from external negativity, and you will find it much easier to manage the internal dialogue. This is how you build a mindset that is not only strong, but is also resilient to outside attacks. You're not just building a better mind for yourself, you are creating a new reality for your life. I have given you the tools and the strategy, but the ultimate responsibility lies with you. The work is not complete until you have asked yourself one final, powerful question. At this very moment, in the quiet of your own being, ask yourself this: if your inner voice was a person, would you trust them with your life? Would you trust this voice with your dreams, your money, your relationships? Would you follow its advice without question? If the answer is no, then you have work to do. But if you have done the work and you continue to do it, that voice will one day become your greatest ally, a wise counselor and an unwavering friend. That is when you will truly understand that the life you live is not a matter of luck, but a direct result of the conversation you have with yourself. The life you live is a direct result of the conversation you have with yourself. Your mind is not an uncontrollable force, but a powerful instrument to be mastered and directed. The man who commands his own mind commands his own destiny. Key takeaways and action steps. 1. Indecision is not a lack of knowledge, but a symptom of a mind at war with itself. 2. A definite purpose is the ultimate tool for giving your internal dialogue a single powerful command to follow. 3. You can and must reclaim your voice through the practice of deliberate substitution, replacing doubt with a productive truth. 1. For the next 24 hours, listen to your internal voice without judgment. Simply observe its patterns. 2. Choose a single recurring negative thought and find its opposite. Write it down. When the old thought appears, immediately state the new one out loud or in your mind. 3. Begin your day by giving your mind a single definite command for what it will achieve. Remember, your success begins the moment you decide to act.